going on, guys? My name is Brandon, and welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find the latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I was able to get both Hail the Sunset as well as Limbs set, so you should be seeing those pretty soon. Hopefully, this upcoming week, I'll have those done, as well as interviews from both of those bands, as I mentioned, Hail the Sun and Limbs, respectively. Those should be coming out really soon. If you haven't checked out our most recent album review, we did Volumes, Different Animals. So check that one out if you haven't already. And also, if you missed out on anything, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. It really does go a long way. And thank you guys for your support. It really does mean a lot. And I can't be more thankful for the people who watch my videos. So thank you guys so much. So without further ado, tonight we're going to be talking about our last night's new record, Selective Hearing.
It'll make it easier to fight through the dark times. The dark time, hold the light. It'll make it easier to shine through the dark times.
So, if you haven't heard about this band, they've been around for a really long time. I've been a fan since We Will All Evolve. I know that they had an album previous to that, but I definitely feel like they kind of came into their own with We Will All Evolve. I've been I've probably listened to every album that they've done: Age of Ignorance, Oak Island, Younger Dreamer, and then their most recent record, obviously now. But I really feel like over time they've grown, matured. They definitely have found their sound, and along with the great covers that they put out fairly frequently, I definitely feel like they've come into their own just as a band and as people. I definitely feel like they've kind of hit their stride without a doubt. So if you haven't checked out this band, I highly recommend checking out some of their older stuff. Trevor starts singing around Age of Ignorance time, and pretty much beyond that. And then We Will All Evolve and the first album, I forget the name off the top of my head. Those were all Trevor screaming, and he was much younger. I think he's like my age, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so he's been around the scene for a really long time, and I definitely feel like he's probably matured the most out of all the bands. I mean, out of all the members in the band for sure. But if you haven't checked them out, they'll also be on Warped Tour as well this year, which is insane. And I'm excited to see them again. I saw them. I think it wasn't last year, maybe it was the year before, or it might have been last year. I'm not even entirely sure, but they were on Warped Tour as well. So definitely excited to see them again. I've seen them multiple times as well, so it's always good seeing this band. They always do a really awesome job live for sure. So I'm gonna go through all the tracks, give you my thoughts on them. I'm gonna give some pros and cons on the record, and then I'm gonna give an overall rating. So the first track off the record is Broken Lives. It is the second single that they've released, and it's also one of my favorites. I like that they started off with this track. I think it's a really solid single that they've released. And obviously it's one of my favorites, so nonetheless I really enjoy this one. So I'm really enjoying sort of the electronic elements that they incorporated in this track. I think it's really solid. The intro definitely reminds me a lot of like Bring Me the Horizon, especially like something off of like I would say maybe like a mix between like Sepultura and That's the Spirit. It has that sort of like electronic vibe to it, which I really enjoy. It has a damn catchy chorus. I think they've really kind of honed in on their songwriting skills, and just song structure skills. And I definitely feel like they kind of nailed it home with this one. Really been a fan of both Trevor's and Matt's cleans, and I've also liked Trevor's screams as well. It's just Trevor's been really solid. Like I said, I think he's definitely gotten better over every release. Up until this one, I definitely feel like he's hit his strongest point in this record for sure. So definitely in that regard, I feel like Trevor really kind of hits it home, but Matt's cleans just have been getting better as well. So I would say that both brothers have been really solid. Definitely liking the nice elements of like heavy and melodic parts. The more melodic parts feel like almost sing-along-y, and the heavy parts just go in. So I definitely feel like they've found that great mix between the two where, they don't lose too many old fans, and they also retain a lot of the new fans as well. So I definitely enjoyed that. Also enjoying the more anthematic feel in the bridge, with some of the great lead guitar parts. I know that's not talked a lot, in terms of our last night, but I definitely feel like there's something solid to point out in this track at least. And I definitely feel like I said it's a great opener track. It definitely gets you pumped. It has that sort of like great energy. I can definitely hear the song being, played on Warped Tour or on an upcoming tour, where they're doing like maybe like, co-headlining or headlining. I definitely feel like this track will be added to their live set. So we're gonna move into track number two, which is Tongue Tied. This is another single, probably the most recent single that they released. Is also one of my favorites as well. I'm really enjoying the sort of the interesting time signature of this track. I think it's really odd. I think it's like 5/8 or something like that. It's definitely a switch up from 4/4. It just definitely has that sort of interesting vibe to it, which I really enjoy. Also enjoying the sort of harmonized parts in the verses. I think it's mainly his Mad's vocals. But they just pair so well together, and it adds just that overall depth to this track that I really enjoy. Also enjoying sort of the fast paced verses against like the softer, sort of slower choruses. I definitely feel like that's a cool kind of songwriting contrast in this track, without a doubt. I definitely feel like this track has a lot of great energy, like I mentioned with Broken Lives. I definitely could see this song being on a Warped Tour set list, or maybe even like a headlining set list, definitely, without a doubt. I definitely want to give a shout out to Tim, especially in this track. I feel like he's an absolute beast from start to finish. He's definitely one of my favorite drummers in the scene, without a doubt. And I feel like this one just, accents him a lot in this track, which I really enjoy. And then I've always liked to sort of back and forth play between Trevor and Matt. I feel like um, they just have that solid camaraderie. Obviously, they're brothers, but I just feel like vocally they've always had that solid back and forth banter. I feel like they kind of just nail it home in this track in particular. But something solid to point out as usual. So we're gonna move into track number three, which is Free Radicals. This one is also another one of my favorites as well. I'm really liking the sort of cool electronic synth added in this track. I feel like it adds some great depth to it. Um, and it's definitely cool kind of in the beginning. I think it has this cool sound of like just full sounding ethereal sort of ambient feel to it, which I really think is a cool little thing to point out. Liking the build in the first verse, and then it kind of gets really heavy in the second verse. I like to kind of play off that as well. I definitely feel like they didn't stray too far from their roots in this track, which is probably why I enjoy it. But I definitely know that they still bring the heavy. This one is definitely one of the more heavier tracks, and it will cater to a lot of fans who have been like, where are the heavy tracks at, and stuff like that. I definitely feel like this one, along with another track, are definitely on a more heavier spectrum. So if you've been searching for some heavier Our Last Night tracks, then look no further than this track, Free Radicals, and another one which I'll mention a little bit later. It has this really cool, sick sort of breakdown bridge part, and I definitely feel like they have a really strong chorus in this track as well. I feel like they've just come out with great stuff. I know they know how to write choruses, they know how to have a good hook, and this obviously accents that and shows you guys, what they're capable of. So we'll move into track number four, which is Caught in the Storm. I would say this is probably the most radio friendly track. I can definitely hear this being on like a alternative sort of radio station, maybe like on XM radio or even local radio stations. I can definitely hear this coming on. I'm liking that cool sort of harmonic guitar intro, just with the harmonic parts. I think that's really solid, and just a solid instrumental opening. I think it's they kind of nailed it home with that one. I definitely, like I said, I feel like this track is the more melodic of the tracks, as well as I feel like this one is the more softer sort of track off this record. But it does have this great catchy melody to it, especially in the chorus, and just throughout the whole track in general. I definitely feel like, kind of rope you in and pull you in. Even if you maybe haven't heard of this band, I definitely feel like they'll get a lot of new fans from this track. It has that sort of fun, sort of bouncy chorus, and it definitely has sort of those like happier, sort of summery sort of vibes to it. So I can definitely see that being a strong one. And just again, another damn catchy track from these guys. I feel like they've again kind of honed their skills, and they've done a really good job of just creating a solid chorus and verses that kind of um just surround the chorus with some great lines and stuff like that. So in that regard, I definitely feel like they nailed it home with this one. So we're gonna move into track number 5, which is Ivory Tower. Definitely one of my favorites. I really cool electronic parts in the intro with the vocals. Again, with the sort of electronic, sort of synthy parts, I like that they're incorporating that into their track. But man, I must say this one is a damn heavy track. It is intense. It's definitely Trevor's putting on a show, a clinic, as some might say. Um, definitely, his screams have gotten much better. Especially in this one. I haven't seen him put so much energy into a track. In our last night track in a while. This one, again, if you've been missing heavy tracks, this is the one to go to along with Free Radicals. I feel like those will cater to the older fans, without a doubt. I would also say that this track is probably the more technical tracks that they've put out in a while, without a doubt, too. Probably the most technical song that I've heard probably in the past couple albums, without a doubt, which is really cool to see that. I definitely appreciate that being an older fan as well. I definitely feel like that's solid. And then just a breakdown around the 2 minutes and 40 second mark, just are really solid. They really hit that home at the end. They just go hard till the end, which is solid. So I would definitely say that if you are a heavy fan, then this one and Free Radicals are the ones to go to. So we're gonna move into track number 6, which is Common Ground. This was the first single that they released prior to them, announcing a record and stuff like that, just as a single. I believe they released it on that. I think it's the Rise Up tour or something. Rise. I don't even remember. But it was with like Color Morale, and Hands Like Houses and things of that nature. I think Out Came the Wolves open. But that one was a really solid tour. But besides the point, that was the single that they released for the tour, which is cool. Definitely like that this one is kind of more bass centric in the verses. You can definitely tell that Woody's great bass playing can be heard through the verses, which is solid. I definitely feel like this focuses more on the melody as opposed to just heaviness. Um, and obviously this one's probably been out the longest, so you know how it sounds and how it goes. I'm definitely liking the cool switch up around the 2 minute mark. I think it's really solid, and Matt just sounds really great in the in the choruses. I definitely feel like he nailed it home on this one, without a doubt. And I definitely say that it is tough to pick, but I mean, it's not one of my favorites, but I definitely enjoy this track a lot. Obviously, it's been out the longest, so I've had a lot of time to sit on it and stuff like that, but I really enjoyed that one. So, we're going to move into the last track, track number 7, which is Ghost in the Machine. This one is also one of my favorites. I'm really liking the guitar riffs on this track. I really feel like they experimented a lot with this one, in my opinion. Um, really liking the sort of eeriness, almost like dark sort of feeling of this track. Really liking the second verse, how it, became really heavy. The first verse feels much lighter and has a sort of like lightness to it. This one is definitely more heavy, a little bit more darker. In the second verse, it's really solid. Again, speaking about solid, another really solid chorus that they've come up with as well. Like I said previously, I feel like they have kind of nailed the formula on that. Definitely like in the harmonized vocals in the bridge, even though they were short lived. I definitely feel like it's solid. I would say this track is probably the most experimented track off the record, without a doubt. It feels very just odd in comparison to the rest of them, but I definitely feel like it's a really solid closure track to the record. And while it being a little bit different from the rest, I definitely feel like that's why I enjoyed it a lot, just because it was kind of a cool switch up, in my opinion. So, um, my pros and cons on this record, I definitely don't have any cons, not that I can think of. But pros, I definitely feel like they've kind of, again, switched it up yet again. I feel like they've really diversified. They really kind of pulled both sides of the fans that like them for their softer stuff, fans that like it for their harder stuff. I feel like they found a nice happy medium between the two. And I definitely say that this album is a little bit heavier in terms of like more rock, sort of like even metalcore bass sort of stuff, post hardcore sort of stuff, which is great. I definitely appreciate that, being an older fan, that they kind of haven't forgotten about it. I feel like, again, they've really kind of progressed over each album, and I definitely say that this one, in my opinion, is the best Our Last Night record to date. It just combines every great element that I loved about previous records into this one. There are some really catchy songs, there are some really lighter songs, but there's also some really heavy songs that are really solid as well. And then they have some tracks that they've kind of experimented on, like the last one, Ghost in the Machine. So overall, really enjoyed this record. I definitely feel like if you're an Our Last Night fan from like We Will All Evolve till now, I definitely feel like you'll find your great fix of, everything in between. If you're a new fan, I definitely feel like there's stuff for you as well too. So again, great mix. And I'm glad that they didn't kind of alienate older fans. I really appreciate that. So my overall rating for Our Last Night's Selective Hearing, I'm going to be giving it a 9.4 out of 10. I definitely feel like it's one you should check out. If you can pick it up, I will definitely try to pick it up maybe at the beginning of next week, just because I don't have any, money on me at the moment. But I will definitely be picking it up. I feel like it's one to purchase without a doubt. And if you've been a fan of Our Last Night, I feel like this one is kind of the quintessential one to have, in my opinion. I feel like, again, it encompasses everything that you love about this band, and it just fits very well. So overall, I definitely feel like it has some great moments, without a doubt, and probably my favorite record to date so far. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this record. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Have you been a fan for a while? Are you a new fan? I definitely feel like this kind of covers every spectrum of that. So if you enjoy what we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. It really does go a long way, and thank you for your support. If you support us even more, we have a merch store where there's a link in the description where you can check out our merch store. Like I said, we're going to be trying to put up new designs really soon. I've been working hard on them, so definitely be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks. So thank you guys for watching this review. My name is Brandon, and we hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com, and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.